Hey y'all, welcome back to Namaste Y'all. I'm Dr. B and I'm so excited to have you back. If you're new here, you need to know we talk about all things. I'm talking faith, healing journeys, wholeness, and all the things and all the seasons of our lives. And so I'm so excited that you joined us today. And so I have to tell you now, I recently turned the big 40, baby, okay? And I know 40 where, but I had to just start there because this episode is really going to dive into the idea, what if this is actually the good part? So come on, let's just dive into it. I know coming into the big 40, some people really freak out. They start thinking about skincare stuff and anti-aging creams and Botox and nipping and tucking and all the things that they perceive that they're losing or things that are fading with time. But I just wanted to pause here and say, like, turning 40 has been like one of the most exciting things for me. First of all, I was always ready. I know people used to be like, oh my God, it's the last year of my 30s. And I was just like, when I look back over my life so far and I see it's almost like when you have a good meal, like when you take something out of the oven that cooks slow and low and it's just falling off the bone, and you know, if you would have took it out too soon, it just wouldn't even been the same. Like, that's how I feel about being 40. Like, so when I hear people make comments about, oh my God, we're getting older and this, I'm just like, yeah, first of all, the alternative is die. And secondly, I just feel like I'm just getting better with time. And I think that might be the difference. You know what I mean? And so I want to talk today about this idea. Like when you're in your 20s, I think a lot of times you may have ideas about like, oh, by the time I'm 30, I'll do this and have that. And by the time I'm 40, you have all these preconceived ideas. But the beautiful part about getting to 40 is you get to look back and say like, oh, this is what the old folks meant when they said just keep living, okay? Because what you're learning is that as you go from season to season and decade to decade, if you're doing it right and you're learning the lessons and you're seeking to grow and evolve and be a better version of yourself with time, that it's just getting better, right? But I think when you're in your like 20s and 30s, you're thinking like, okay, like if I could just get to this place financially, or if I can make this much money, or if I get this house or this spouse or this car, this many kids, like there's always this idea that the next goal or the next thing is going to make you feel some level of contentment and some level of satisfaction or some level of happiness. And as you start to reach those different milestones in your life, I think you realize like, oh, no, that's not what this is about at all. Like at every level, like there are so many things that you have and that you don't appreciate until you don't have them anymore, right? So like now I'm thinking about being 40. And me and my homegirls were just talking the other day about like, y'all remember when we were in our 20s? Like how little we were. Like we were so skinny. And you didn't even appreciate the fact that you were in like your little girlish figure because all you could think about was like, oh, I want to work on my abs, or oh, like whatever it is you were working towards. Or oh, I just want to get my degree, or like whatever you're working, like that you don't realize how many things around you are already just so good and delicious and decadent, and if you're always looking towards the next thing. And so that's really what I want to talk about today. Like lessons that I've learned now that I'm 40 that I wish I could have told my 20-year-old self. So let's talk about a couple lessons. The first lesson that I learned was life does not always look like the vision board. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, like I'm one of those hardcore like vision board girlies. I don't do it every year, but I might take time to make a vision board, and it might be like vision for the next like 5 years. And this year I'll just give you this little snippet. My mentor challenged me to do a vision board this year, and I did it with AI. And this is really cool if you've never done this before. So like I uploaded a picture of myself because, you know, AI generates images that kind of look like you, but it is not exactly you. And what I did was I described the different things the different visions in my head, and I told it to create an image. So let's say I have this image of me being on a stage speaking in a really large like auditorium type building. You know, we had a little headset right here like Oprah and Michelle Obama and them, when I go see them like give a big talk. I have a vision of myself in that space on that stage. And I've had it for a long time. It's in my head. And so what I was able to do with AI was say, using the attached picture as my prompt, I would tell it, generate an image of me standing on the stage. I was able to tell it what I'm wearing, like what kind of suit I'm wearing, what kind of like with the headset, and like I'm in this really big auditorium with like all these people, and then it generated an image, right? And so I did that for like all of the goals that I have, and then I had to print them out, and then I had to put them on a board and like do a whole thing, and then go back and share that with my mentor, and we talk through, okay, now if that was the vision and that was the goal, because he said, if 2026 was a success in your business, what would that look like? And so that's why I generated some of these images. So some of them are short-term goals, some of them are long-term goals. But either way, I did that for my business, and then I did it for my personal life as well. And I printed all those images, and I have them now where I see them every day in my home. But the truth is, I've been doing these types of things for so long, like since I was in my 20s. And life just is not a vision board. You know what I mean? Like you learn as you get older, like you have these desires in your heart and these visions. And so many of mine I did achieve, I will say. But even still, there are so many things where you have to learn, like within every season, there's so many reasons to have joy, to have gratitude, to like seize the day. And I think if you're always one of those people that's type A, like I'm a recovering type A, where you're always thinking about the next thing and like how to execute and like get up and go and hustle, that you don't take time to really settle down and realize, okay, life isn't all about this vision. It's also part of the vision has to be, I've learned now that I'm 40, rest and restoration have to be part of the vision, right? So you're looking to work hard and to achieve. But one thing that I had to learn as I got older was to also hold space for frolicking. You got to have time for pleasure and to enjoy and to just eat a meal and just sit down. Like make time and space in your life for that too. And that's how you make the most of the moments that you have in front of you. And I just wish I would have understood that a little bit more when I was younger and in my hustle grind mentality. I look up now and I'm like, did y'all realize how skinny we were? Like we didn't even appreciate that little waistline. And now here we are fighting for our lives, trying to make sure we can, keep our girlish figures. But you don't even realize what's in front of you, like when you have it. And so I think that's the first lesson I would tell myself, is just to know, like, vision is great, ambition is great and fine, but understanding that life isn't a vision board is going to allow you to keep the anxiety down. It's going to help you to be able to find ease and flow. And those things are important, especially as you learn more about self-care and how to take care of yourself. Relieving yourself from the stress and the pressures that society puts on you is going to allow you to live your life a little bit more authentically. The second lesson I wish I would have known is that healing is not a destination. When I say that, I mean sometimes we think about healing as like, okay, I know there's some like, let's think about traumas that we experience in childhood and patterns we develop, and we start to intellectualize about like, okay, I know like I have this behavior that I do because of the way I was raised and this and this. And sometimes we get so far into our heads that we start to think like, okay, I'm going to do therapy, whatever your spiritual practice is, like, I'm really going to focus on healing these wounds. And we think in our head, like, there's going to come a time where you're healed, right? Like where you have all of this thing figured out. And I think what I've learned now is that there's never going to be a time where you don't experience sadness or where disappointment doesn't stop you, or make you have to have a moment, or where old wounds don't resurface and sometimes you have to sit and kind of put some ointment on that wound again and like remind yourself that it's going to be okay. I think what does happen with maturity is that you understand everybody is dealing with their own stuff and their own wounds, and we're all trying to do the best that we can. It allows you to have more grace with yourself. But I think when you learn that like, oh, there's not going to ever come a time where you just heal. Like people, I've heard people be like, yeah, I might do such and such, like, but I'm on this healing journey. And like, when I'm healed, it's like, that's not how it works. All your whole life you're healing, right? And all your whole life you're experiencing pain and suffering, and that's what life is. But I think the beautiful part at 40 is realizing now how to be able to maneuver with more grace, with more compassion for yourself, which then allows you to extend that to others when you realize, like, oh, everybody's on a journey. It allows you to really, like, there's been times where I have had encounters with people and they've done something terrible, even if it's something to me. And I'm like, dang, like that's really how you treat people? I particularly feel this way about people that use people, like users. Like if you've ever encountered a classic user and like you're like, you really would like the manipulation is like so next level that it's like you really went through all of that just, just to use somebody to try to get a means to an end, you know what I mean? And I think those types of things I come to when I was younger, I would have just been like, this is a terrible person, they're a user, da 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 da, and like throw them out with the trash and discard them. And the older that I've gotten, and the more I do life in my own healing, I realize I start to have compassion for people that do messed up stuff. Because first of all, I'm like, dang, like that's really like the best you have, like as a human to offer out here. I think part of it is that I know like you limit yourself when you mishandle people, or you don't know how to treat people with respect, or you don't have integrity. You say one thing, you do another, and people are like, dang, like you really just, you limit yourself. I understand that in the physical realm, but also in the spiritual realm, I understand how karma works. I understand that whatever I put into the universe, it's coming back at me. And so when people don't have a spiritual IQ, I almost feel sympathy for them. I feel like not that I'm gonna just let them try to use me or you know misuse me in a way, but I know how to create a boundary, and I know how to also like pray for them and be like, God, I pray that you help that person, because clearly the first thing you want to ask somebody like that is, who hurt you? Who hurt you and left you out here just all out here just wrong? Because you know, right, that healing is not a destination. Everybody, now some of us take ownership of a healing journey and we identify our patterns and we say, I want to be better. And then there are some people in this world, they are just going to crash and thrash until the day that they die, and they won't care. They'll use people, they'll do anything, they'll lie, steal, cheat, kill, do whatever to satisfy their own ego. And so when you see people that move around like that, I think the more compassion you learn to have for yourself in your own healing journey, the more you'll be able to extend that to other people, no matter where they are in their journey. Lesson number 3 is kind of tricky. I would tell my younger self that success isn't going to feel the way you think it feels, right? I've earned a terminal degree in my field. I have started businesses. I've started schools. I have, done the thing where you get married. I've had my gone through divorce and navigated that. I've had a kid and become a first-time mom. Like whatever you think about houses, I've bought cars. Like whatever it is in your mind when you're in your 20s that you're like, when I get these things, and you make your little list. I think I had to learn as I was accomplishing goals that success isn't always going to feel the way that you think it's going to bring you some feeling of contentment or relaxation, or like you're going to have a moment where you, whew. But what I've learned is that the more you do things for external validation, the more things you're going to need to do. The list doesn't end. Like if you spend your whole life creating a list of things that you think will bring you some level of peace, that's not how it works. It's actually a trick that your ego plays on you, because the more you get, the more you're going to want, right? And so like I remember I got my first house when I was 23. I bought a townhome, and I would rent out a room and generate a little extra income, and so it kind of helped pay the mortgage. And then when I moved to another city, I bought another home there that was a little bit more pricey, nicer finishes, and these things. But then the third house was even bigger and on a corner lot with beautiful trees and more. You see where I'm going here? It's like at every level you will feel like I got this thing, and it's great to up-level your life for sure. But I think what I know now is that peace doesn't come from achieving the external things. right? Peace, or what I call internal peace, which is always my prayer. God, my primary focus is internal peace. So anything that I'm about to pray about in my life, the most important thing is my internal peace be preserved, right? And so then whatever else we're about to decide about here and in front of me, but when you get to a certain point where it's about authenticity, brings peace. Not betraying yourself anymore brings peace. Not achieving a thing or buying a boat or whatever it is you think in your mind, like, oh, when I can do this and I've traveled and gone places and I'm going to even go even more places. But the number one accomplishment that I can say at 40 that I'm most proud of now is that I no longer betray myself, right? And that's been the biggest thing. I heard Oprah in an interview, and I forget the lady she was interviewing, but she said, how do you know when you've made it? Like, how do you know when your life is good? And she said, when you no longer betray yourself. And that's for the comfort of people around you. That's for external validation. When you get to the place where you can say what's authentically true and stand on that, and whoever comes, whoever goes, whoever understands you, whoever misunderstands you, you know you're moving in love and you handle people well. But that doesn't always mean everybody's going to be comfortable with you making decisions. People won't get their way with you. And when you get to the point where you no longer betray yourself for the comfort of other people, you're getting into some new territory, right? And so the Bible says where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom and there's liberty. And I understand what that means now. Like when you live your life based on, okay, well, I know if I do this, then my mom's going to feel that way, or my church is going to feel this way, or this person or this romantic partner might not like, and you can stand 10 toes down on, hey, this is what I'm going to do, or this is a decision that I've made. And you have the peace about it, and you know it's in alignment with your purpose and your calling, and it is a decision that's inspired by love and not your ego. I'm not talking about people that run around and just let their egos crash everywhere. That's when you get to the level of success. That's when you get to your pinnacle. And I'm just excited to feel like at 40, I'm just starting to get there. I wish I could have told my 20-year-old self, girl, it ain't going to be the houses. It's not going to be the career. Because you thought when you were in college, you were like, oh, when I make 6 figures, then I will. Girl, that 6 figures be gone. Especially if you live in a city. Like I live downtown Dallas. Them 6 figures don't make you feel nothing. But what I can say is the more I've gone from shifting about caring about other people's validation and what people perceive to be success, and took that off and got down into what's real. One of the episodes this season, I'm talking about student loan forgiveness with my student loan lawyer. And when I tell you a part of the reckoning there, I was reading a book called The Psychology of Money. And in this book, my friend recommended it to me. I'm so grateful. I'm always going to be indebted to him for recommending this book and the conversations we had that followed, where we really got down into the money decisions that you're making. What are they actually saying about you? Like, Stephanie, what's your dream car? And I say a G-Wagon, a particular one. I run it down. I give a description down to the wheels. And it's like, now why is it that that's the car that's your dream car? You know what I mean? So like having a conversation about like whatever you spend your money on, what does it say about you? When you're driving around in that G-Wagon, you pull up to the light and you look at that person next to you, what does it say about you that you're in that G-Wagon? You know what I'm saying? Like that status, that whatever you have tied to that material possession, what does it say about you? And having to have those kind of conversations when I was late 30s and starting to evaluate things led me to the point where I started on my journey of trying to just really rebuild my finances in a way that was true, because I want to be debt free. And so I tell people, by the time you see anything that would let you know, oh, she must be a person with a lot of money, it's going to be real money, right? And that's to say, like, I know people that are driving a Benz or driving the G-Wagon or whatever and doing it in a way that they're not able to be financially free. They're doing it because of what it means to other people. Because what it says to other people when they pull up in it, and they live in paycheck to paycheck, or their kids don't have a college fund, or they're struggling and their savings is scrawny. And I don't say that to mean it as a judgment, but I mean it to say, like, I've already been there and done that, because I'm driving a Beamer, and what do people see but when you get to the point where you take that off and you say, now what's real? What I know needs to be intact is these investments. My portfolio needs to be diversified, my kids' college fund, all of these things. I view now financial freedom as like an iceberg, where the tip of it is the things you can see. The things that you would be able to assess, like, oh, they must have some money. But beneath that surface is all the other things that actually matter, like the investments that will sustain you, and when you're going to retire, how much money do you have set aside for this or that? And then for me, it's just been a pivot about like, now let's move in this direction towards authenticity. So that meant getting a smaller apartment when after divorce, when I was rebuilding my finances, downsizing, getting a smaller apartment. And that's going to be a part of my journey now. Now, when I have my forever home and I'm showing y'all that, it's going to be like, oh, wow, it's going to be real. It's not going to be struggle busing for the sake of people thinking that you have it all together, right? And so when it comes to perceptions of success, I think that's one of the biggest things I would offer myself is most of what you see is an illusion, especially on social media. People are posting their highlight reels, but also the same people posting a big gigantic house might also be in foreclosure on the back end, and they might be fighting for their lives to keep that big old house. And so you never know what people actually have going on. You see somebody posting their beautiful marriage that you think is a wonderful goal, hashtag Black love, and on the back end you don't know that person, those people not even loyal to each other and don't even like each other half the time. And so instead of comparing yourself to others in these external checklists, you start to go internally. What feels right? What feels aligned? Is this job aligned with my purpose? Like, is this job aligned with my gifts? And making those decisions. Does this job honor me? You know what I mean? Like, am I working somewhere or for someone who doesn't even respect me, who diminishes my value? It's not in alignment. So it doesn't cultivate your internal peace. These types of things start to help you move towards actual success. You know what I mean? Like authentic internal peace. And that's when you know you're on the right path. Okay, the last lesson is this. I would tell my 20-year-old self, don't postpone joy, right? A lot of times we feel like, especially when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're working so hard and you're trying to save or you're trying to get to whatever it is. And I was one of those people that worked hard. Like I was the first car in the parking lot and the last car out of the parking lot when I was leading in schools. I wanted to save the world. I wanted to get in there and do all these things. And I've always been blessed to serve. However, I had to learn as I got older that you can't postpone joy. And that starts with taking care of yourself, right? So I had to consider, like, is it admirable to be the first one in and the last one out at a job, and then you didn't take 30 minutes to do some cardio today or this week? And so, so now you're looking in the mirror and you're not happy with your body. You're not being a good steward of your own temple because you're trying to rush and be a good steward and do everything for everybody else, right? So what does it look like? I wish I could offer myself at 20 to take better care of myself. And that includes scheduling joy. I've always been a scheduler. Y'all, I still have my calendars from college that I kept as a kid because it's so hilarious to me when I see now. Like all the days jam-packed with stuff and color-coded by like what was for Delta and what was for class and what was for work and like all of the things to keep my life. This is before we did it with the phone. So judge your mama. We had to actually write them down, okay? And so I would write it all down. And I keep a couple of those just because I think it's hilarious and I should show my students when I used to teach them how to use their calendars to manage their time and teach them time management skills when I used to mentor girls. And so I kept those and I laugh now because I see like all the things that I had to do. And now I would offer myself, you have to schedule joy the way that you schedule deadlines, the way that you schedule everybody else's priorities, especially once you become a mom, you schedule all your kids' stuff. Schedule joy as if your life depends on it because it does, right? So now I hold space. I hold space for, okay, I'm going to have a vacation. Like even if I haven't planned it, I might hold space on my calendar So what I've learned about my flow is quarterly, I need to schedule something where I can disconnect and refill my cup. Now, that's not always going to be, okay, let's go to the south of France or let's leave the country or do a thing. It's not always going to be a big whop. But I also have some places domestically that I go to recharge. One particular wellness retreat that I love, but also it's been at times, it's been a staycation where I could just get a hotel room for a couple of days or something and disconnect and turn my brain off, turn my phone off especially. And that's what brings me joy, being able to disconnect, have time to read or write because I'm a writer. Have time in nature. That's another thing that brings me joy. We are so disconnected from nature that we discount the effects that it has on our lives, on our bodies, on our healing. And so I like to do that to the point where the last time I went to the beach with my friends, I think we went somewhere in Mexico, I go into the water. Like I'm out in the ocean. Like I'm out and my sister is on the shore yelling, "Come back, you're too far, you're taking this too far." But your ability to be able to connect with nature, to have those moments, to build them in, and to just hold space for, I don't care if I have to drive somewhere, if you can fly, whatever you need to do, but don't delay scheduling joy and prioritizing it. That time with your friends. For me, I try to have girlfriend time at least once a month when I go out with my girlfriends. If you're dating and you're doing that thing, like having date nights and scheduling them, not just randomly waiting to see when joy will happen. Identify the things that bring you joy and then hold space for those things strategically, annually. Sit down, look at the calendar, map it out. Listen to your body. Your body is telling you, hey, I need a break. And so don't always think that has to be a big thing. And don't let social media fool you into thinking everybody is flying out every other week. So half of them is posting pictures from last year on the beach. They at home. Okay? So once you figure that out, then you'll know that you can schedule your joy on your own schedule. And so these are some of the things that I've learned now that I've made it to 40. It's beautiful over here. I would like to encourage you, if you're getting close to 40, don't let people freak you out about like, and if you feel like, oh, there's things I haven't accomplished, girl, listen, just keep living, like the old folks used to say. You're going to realize you got so much time ahead of you, but it's more important how you're moving towards the goals and even why. Some of the things we set out as goals, we have to ask ourselves, why is that a goal? Is it still a goal? Do I reassess my goals when I'm getting closer to 40? To determine what's authentic, what's aligned, and what will help you preserve your inner peace as you continue to look around you and find all the beauty and the gratitude in all the things you got already. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. Until next time, namaste, y'all.